My name is Wendy Morgan, and 12 days before my sister's wedding, my mom texted me one sentence that made me very, very calm. The sentence was this: "You're not coming to the wedding. This family doesn't want you there." Then, 3 seconds later, my dad added his contribution. "You make us look low class just by being there." I was sitting at my desk at the time. My assistant Hannah was sitting 4 feet away. The leather binder from my sister's wedding was open in front of me. 8 months of work, $26,000 of my own money. Every single vendor contract signed in my own name, with the same Mont Blanc fountain pen Vivian had given me for my 30th birthday. I read the text twice, I smiled, and I texted my mother back 4 words. "So you're choosing status over blood." Then I picked up my office phone and made 18 calls in 40 minutes. Because here is the thing my mom forgot when she sat down to type that text. I had paid for the venue. I had paid for the florist. I had paid for the caterer, the DJ, the photographer, and the cascading wisteria she had specifically requested for the entrance arch. And what I did next? In a Holiday Inn ballroom, 12 days later, in front of every Ashford, no one in that family could have planned for it. Welcome back to Hidden Family Revenge. If you have ever been quietly cut out of your own family to keep up appearances with someone they wanted to impress, this one is going to feel familiar. Drop a comment with the word receipts if you have ever held the paperwork your family forgot you had. And please subscribe, because what happened at the Holiday Inn ballroom is something I am still telling people about a year later. I own a small event planning company called Westbrook Events. It is named after my middle name because at 20 years old, when I dropped out of Cal State Sacramento, my father told me I would never have anything to put my last name on. He said it at the kitchen table while my mother nodded along, and I remember thinking, fine, I'll use a different name then. That was 12 years ago. Westbrook Events has 4 employees now. We do mostly mid-tier weddings and corporate retreats in the Sacramento area. We are not glamorous, we are reliable, and the vendors in this town know my voice on the phone. 8 months before that text, my younger sister Vivian had called me crying. She had just gotten engaged to Trent Ashford, and my mother had immediately taken over the wedding planning. Vivian wanted a small ceremony. My mother wanted a Cresthaven Manor reception with imported orchids. Vivian was overwhelmed, so I made an offer. I would handle every vendor personally. I would use my industry contacts to get prices nobody else could get. I would put everything on my business card and reconcile the receipts with my parents later. It would be my wedding gift to Vivian. She cried again. She hugged me. She said I was the best sister in the world. 8 months of binders. 8 months of weekend tasting menus. 8 months of bringing Vivian fabric swatches at her hair appointments because she could not get away from the salon. Every contract, every deposit, every signed page. The Mont Blanc clicked open, the signature dried, the binder closed. I did not think about whose name was on the contracts. Until 12 days before the wedding, when my mother told me I was not invited. The text arrived on a Tuesday at 3:47 in the afternoon. I remember the exact time because I was on a call with the rental linen company about napkin counts. My phone buzzed. I glanced down. I saw the preview from my mother. I excused myself from the call. I told the linen company I would call back in 10 minutes. I would not, but I said it. I read the first text. Then I read the second one, from my father. Then I read both of them again, just to make sure I had not invented it. "You're not coming to the wedding. This family doesn't want you there. You make us look low class just by being there." I felt nothing for about 4 seconds. Then I felt something very specific. Not anger, not sadness. Something colder and clearer. Like when a sink stops dripping and you suddenly notice how quiet a kitchen can be. Hannah looked up from her monitor. She is 27 years old and she has been with me 4 years. She can read my face in ways my own family never bothered to. "What's happening?" she said. I did not answer her yet. I turned my phone to her screen side and slid it across the desk. She read the messages. Then she read them again. She did not say anything. She just slowly closed her laptop. I picked the phone back up and typed 4 words. So you're choosing status over blood? I hit send. Then I uncapped the Mont Blanc and opened the binder. The first vendor on the list was Catalton Blooms. I dialed the number from memory. I had a wedding to dismantle. To understand why my mother typed that text, you have to understand the engagement party. 4 months earlier, the Ashfords had thrown an engagement dinner at their country club. The Ashfords are old Sacramento real estate, 4 generations of it. They are also, importantly, not the kind of people who tell you they are old money. They tell you about the public school their grands go to. My mother had been per norm at that dinner since the Didnt proposed. She had a new dress. She had her pearl pin, the one she only wore for what she called important occasions. She had practiced the small wave she planned to do at the doorway. I drove myself there. I wore a navy dress I already owned. I was the only one there in something not new. Beatrice Ashford was the first person to talk to me. She is in her early 60s, slim, gray hair cut neat. She walked over while my mother was still fussing with her clutch in the entryway. "You must be Wendy," she said. "Trent has told me about your company." I said yes, that was me. She asked what kind of events I did most. I told her. She asked thoughtful questions about the staffing model, about how I managed cash flow in slow seasons, about what made a good vendor relationship. She was the most interested adult I had spoken to in 5 years. I caught my mother watching us from across the room, the pearl pin flashing under the chandelier light. Her face was doing something I could not quite read. Aunt Marjorie came over and pulled my mother toward the bar. I watched my aunt cup my mother's elbow and whisper something. My mother nodded. At the end of the night, Beatrice put her hand on my arm. "You're impressive, Wendy," she said. "Vivian is lucky to have you." I drove home thinking it had gone well. I had no idea I had just made my mother panic for 4 straight months. Hannah finally spoke. "Wendy," she said carefully, "are we canceling the wedding?" I looked up from the binder. "We are canceling the vendors. Whether there is a wedding is up to my mother and the Ashfords. I just won't be paying for it." She nodded slowly. "Walk me through the contracts." I flipped to the contract index. 18 vendors, Cresthaven Manor for the venue, Maison Beaumont for the catering, Catalina Blooms for the floral, Riley Bennett for the DJ, 2 photographers, the cake, the transportation, the rental linens, the dance floor, the lighting, the wisteria arch installation crew, the string quartet for the ceremony, the hair team, the makeup team, the wedding night hotel suite. Every single one had my name as the primary contractee. Every single one had my business card as the payment method on file. My mother had insisted on that arrangement 8 months ago. Vendor lock-in pricing, she had called it. She did not want to think about logistics. She wanted to be a mother of the bride. I had agreed, because I had thought it was a gift. I uncapped the Mont Blanc and laid it on the legal pad. Hannah cleared her afternoon meetings. I drafted a checklist. Vendor name, deposit forfeit amount, final payment cancellation amount, method of cancellation, recovery time. The Mont Blanc made a soft click when I tightened the cap. I looked at Hannah. She looked at me. "My mom is going to call in about 40 minutes, I said. "I'd rather have the first 8 done before she does." Hannah picked up her phone. "I'll start the call queue from my line. You take the venues and catering. I'll take florals and transportation. Go." I dialed Catalina Blooms. Catalina Blooms picked up on the second ring. "Catalina, this is Wendy at Westbrook Events. I need to cancel the Morgan Ashford wedding order. The full order." "Today," Catalina paused. "We have known each other 6 years. She runs the best floral shop in the Sacramento corridor. I have given her referrals worth probably $90,000 over our working relationship." "Wendy, are you all right?" "I'm fine. I need the cancellation in writing within the hour. I understand I forfeit the $4,200 deposit. I need you to void the $7,800 final payment that auto-drafts on the 5th. Please confirm both in the email." "Done," she said. She did not ask further. She knows this business. She knew that whatever had happened, I did not want to talk about it. The email landed in my inbox 4 minutes later. I drew a line through Catalina Blooms with the Mont Blanc. I dialed Maison Beaumont. Same conversation. 2,000 forfeited. 9,400 voided. Confirmation in 7 minutes. Line through Maison Beaumont. Riley Bennett, the DJ. He is a friend. He refunded the entire deposit because he said he was on call that night anyway and could rebook. Line through Riley Bennett, the transportation company. Voided in 3 minutes. The string quartet. Refunded in full at my request. The cake. The cake was the only one that hurt. It was custom. The baker had already milled the lavender for the buttercream. I asked her to keep the lavender batch and the design notes for one of my upcoming clients. She said yes. $300 forfeited, 1,800 voided. 11 lines through 11 vendors in 26 minutes. The Mont Blanc was warm in my hand. I muttered to myself while I marked off the orchid order. Low class, yeah. Low class doesn't deliver orchids on time. Low class doesn't know the cancellation clause. Hannah looked up at me. She did not laugh, but her shoulders relaxed. We had 7 vendors left. My phone started lighting up around 4:22, the first call from my mother. I ignored it. The second. Ignored. The third went to voicemail. I did not listen. The fourth and fifth came in back to back at 4:31. I turned the ringer off completely. I would not be the one losing focus. Hannah was working through the transportation rental and the lighting crew. I picked up the next contract. At 4:36, my phone lit up with a text from Vivian. Wendy, please pick up. Mom says you're being dramatic, please. I read the message. I put the phone face down. I did not reply. Hannah looked at me. Vivian, Vivian, I confirmed. Mom told her I'm being dramatic. What did the text say? Mom probably hasn't told her what she actually wrote. She told Vivian I'm having some kind of meltdown. Hannah nodded. She did not push it. She handed me the rental lines and confirmation already canceled. I drew the line. At 4:41, my mother left a voicemail. The phone showed the duration. 2 minutes, 11 seconds. I did not play it. The string of texts after that came in groups. From my mother. From Aunt Marjorie. From my father finally, at 4:53. Wendy, your mother is upset. Call her back. I did not call him back. I did not call her back. I had Cresthaven Manor to cancel, and I wanted to do that one in person. I checked the binder. The venue contract was at the front. $18,000 in final payment, scheduled to autodraft Friday morning. $4,000 deposit forfeit on cancellation. I picked up the phone and dialed the direct line to Eric, the venue manager at Cresthaven. I had $18,000 to pull back from the brink. Eric picked up on the first ring. He always does. Wendy, tell me good news. Eric, I'm canceling the Morgan Ashford wedding. Full cancellation, tonight. He was quiet for 2 seconds. Then he said, Wendy, the deposit is $4,000. The final 18 is set to draft Friday. You're losing the $4,000 on cancellation, but I can stop the 18 if you confirm in the next 30 minutes. Confirm. Refund the 18 to the card on file. I want the cancellation email tonight. He took a breath. Are you sure? I'm sure. Wendy, you realize what this means for them. We are 11 days out. I realize, Eric, they have 11 days. I have a checkbook with 3 blank weeks of capacity. Send the email. He sent it 16 minutes later. Subject line, Cresthaven Manor, cancellation confirmation. Refund of $18,000 processed to Westbrook Events business card ending in 4482. Deposit forfeit, $4,000. I drew the line through Cresthaven with the Mont Blanc. The binder had 4 vendors left. I would handle them in the morning. I leaned back in my chair. I looked out the window. Sacramento at 5:15 on a Tuesday in early September. The light was the color of weak tea. Hannah looked over at me. How are you feeling? I thought about it for a second. Like I just paid the cheapest therapy bill of my life, I said. And listen, I want to say something to you right now, if you are still watching at the 4-minute mark. Because somebody out there is doing the math on what I just did. Somebody is thinking, why did she lose $4,000 to a venue she could have used? Let me tell you what I learned at 22. The year my father told me my last name was not worth a tuition. Losing $4,000 to walk away from people who told you you make them look low class is the cheapest therapy money can buy. If you have ever signed a check just to free yourself, drop the words cheapest therapy in the comments. And subscribe, because the Holiday Inn part is coming, and I am not skipping any of it. My mother showed up at my office at 6:04. I had told Hannah to go home at 5:45. She had not wanted to leave. I had insisted. There was no reason for her to be there for what was coming. The front bell jingled. My mother walked in, pearl pin, careful makeup, the dress she wears when she wants to look like she means business. I did not stand up. I did not close the binder. I did not put the Mont Blanc away. Hi, Mom. Wendy, this has gone on long enough. She tried warmth first. Honey, sit and talk to me. I am sitting, she tried cold. You have embarrassed your family. You have embarrassed yourself. Have I? She tried tears, real-looking ones. She is good at them when she needs them. I did not move. Mom, every vendor I contracted for Vivian's wedding has been informed today. 8 of them have already confirmed cancellation in writing. The remaining 10 will be done by tomorrow morning. The Cresthaven Manor venue has released the date. The Ashfords no longer have a reception location. The blood left her face in 2 waves. First around the mouth, then around the eyes. You're lying. I am not lying. Eric at Cresthaven sent the cancellation email hours ago. You can call him yourself. She tried to speak. Nothing came out. I tilted my head. I mean, I would understand if you'd rather not call. Because, low-class people don't usually have a personal line to luxury venue managers. So I'm not sure why you would want to call Eric. Her eyes closed, just for a second. I added, almost gentle. But low-class people apparently don't get invited to weddings, so I'm not sure why you're here at all. She left without saying another word. I watched my mother through the office window after she left. She got to her car. She stood in the parking lot for 30 seconds. Then she yanked her phone out of her purse and started dialing. I could not hear her, but I could see her shoulders. I could see the way she paced. I could see the way she gestured with her left hand. The pearl pin caught the parking lot lamp. I knew exactly who was on the other end of that phone call. Aunt Marjorie. Marjorie is my mother's older sister, 55, divorced twice, never recovered financially or socially from either. She lives in a condo my mother helped her get into. She breathes my mother's social calendar. They have a particular tone when they talk to each other. Loud, fast, almost competitive. By 7s that night, my cousin Lila had sent me a text. Wendy, what is happening? Mom is at Aunt Cordelia's house with a bottle of wine and they're calling vendors. Lila is 26, Marjorie's daughter. She has never quite been on her mother's wavelength. We are not close exactly, but we are friendly. They're calling vendors, I typed back. What do you mean? They're trying to threaten them. Like telling them they'll get bad reviews if they don't honor the original contracts. I laughed out loud in my empty office. I actually laughed. Leela, the contracts are in my name. Not theirs, I figured. They're not having a good time over here. A pause. Then Lila added casually. Have you seen the family chat lately? I read the line twice. What family chat? Oh, Lila wrote. Oh, Wendy, the group with Mom, your mom, and your dad. They've been planning to ease you out for like 2 years. I sat very still. I asked her to tell me everything. Vivian rang my doorbell at 10:03 that night. I had been home for an hour. I had not made dinner. I had been sitting on my couch with the Mont Blanc in my hand and Lila's last text on my screen. I opened the door. Vivian's mascara was halfway her face. Wendy, why are you doing this? I stepped aside. She came in. She sat down on my hallway floor without taking her coat off, which is something I had not seen her do since she was 11. I sat across from her. The hallway is narrow. We could have touched knees if we tried. Vivian. Did you know Mom texted me and called me low class? She didn't mean Vivian. She didn't Vivian. She typed the words. Dad followed up with his own version. Both texts are on my phone right now. She looked at the floor. Why didn't you call me? She asked. Vivian, you're the bride. I wasn't going to call you 11 days before your wedding crying about Mom. I was going to handle it the way I handle everything. By canceling everything? By taking my name off contracts I signed because I thought I was helping you. Mom decided I wasn't family. I decided not to pay for family events anymore. She put her face in her hands. After a long minute, she looked up. Wendy, did Mom really say I'm worth more than you? I considered lying. I did not. No, Vivian, she said you embarrass her less. She flinched. I have not seen Vivian flinch since we were kids. She got up. She wiped her face with her sleeve. She looked at me for a long second. Wendy, I need to think. Okay, I'm not on her side. Vivian, I love you, but you need to decide if you're on mine. She left. The door clicked. I sat in the hallway for another 20 minutes. Then I went to find Vivian's laptop. Vivian had left her laptop at my apartment 2 weekends earlier. She had been working on table arrangement diagrams while I plated cheese for both of us. She had said she would come pick the laptop up after the menu meeting on Saturday. Saturday had come and gone. The laptop was on my entry table, under a stack of mail. I opened it. The lock screen took her thumbprint or a passcode. She had never set a password. Her Messages app was open in the browser tab. I scrolled through the sidebar. Most threads were normal. Bridesmaid chats, Trent, the dress fitter. At the bottom of the sidebar, with the indicator showing a small red dot, was a group thread. The thread was named M&D and Marge, Mom, Dad, Marjorie. Vivian had been added to the thread for some logistics question 2 weeks ago. She had not muted it. The messages kept coming. I scrolled to the top. The thread had started in March of 2024. 2 years ago, 3 months after my 30th birthday, 3 months after Vivian gave me the Mont Blanc. The first message was from my mother. After the wedding, we need a plan to phase Wendy out. She doesn't need to come to every holiday. The second message from Aunt Marjorie. She's a lot, Cordelia. She means well, but it's a lot. The third from my father. Agreed, she doesn't fit the picture. Let's see how the engagement goes. I sat down at my kitchen counter. I scrolled. September 2024. Marjorie says, Beatrice asked about Wendy's business at the engagement party. We need to redirect those conversations. She's not their kind. December 2024. Beatrice mentioned Wendy looked capable at the Christmas open house. I am losing my mind. February 2025. Plan. After rehearsal dinner, Wendy stays home with a work emergency. Vivian agrees. August 2025, last week, 8 days before my mother sent the text. We need to handle the wedding invitation directly with Wendy. She has to think she chose to step back. I uncapped the Mont Blanc. I opened a fresh legal pad. I started writing down the dates. I searched the thread for the phrase low class. The first hit was from Aunt Marjorie, 11 months ago, about a Christmas dress I had worn. The second was from my mother, 6 months ago, about my hair. The third was the one from this Tuesday. I screenshotted every single message. I did not cry. I just kept writing. I could have confronted my mother that night. I did not. I sent the screenshots to Iris Peterson, my college roommate, who is a paralegal in a divorce firm and who has watched me handle worse moments than this from a distance. Her reply came at 12:41 in the morning. Wendy, these are receipts. I know. Don't blast them. Not tonight. I wasn't going to. They'll do something stupid first. They always do. Wait for it. I'm waiting. A pause. Then she sent, and don't tell Vivian what you saw on the laptop. Yet, I did not tell Vivian. I closed the laptop. I placed it back under the stack of mail. I sent Vivian a text that said only, thanks for stopping by. I love you. Talk tomorrow. She did not reply. I made tea. I sat on my couch. I considered my options. I could send screenshots to my mother and watch her implode. That would feel good for an hour. Then it would be over. I could send the screenshots to Beatrice Ashford. That would be more useful. But it would also feel like I was using Beatrice. I did not want to do that, or I could wait. I decided to wait. Whatever happened next, my mother was going to do it to herself. She always did. I went to bed at 2 in the morning and slept for 9 hours. I had not slept that well in a year. My mother called Beatrice Ashford on Wednesday morning. I know this because Leela texted me at noon. Wendy, Mom is here. Aunt Cordelia called Beatrice last night to explain that you are having a breakdown and ruining the wedding for spite. Oh boy, I typed back. Wendy. Beatrice's response was, quote, I would like to speak with Wendy directly. I stared at the message, then I laughed, then I made coffee. If you have been watching for a while now and you have ever sat in a kitchen watching a parent rewrite reality in front of you in real time, drop the word rewrite in the comments below. Because here is what is about to happen. My mother is about to find out that Beatrice Ashford did not get to be Beatrice Ashford by listening to whispers in country club hallways. Beatrice asks. And then she asks again, and then she looks at the paperwork. Beatrice's secretary called me at 4:14 that afternoon. I had been expecting the call. She was warm, pleasant, direct, Miss Morgan. Mrs. Ashford would like to invite you to her home for tea on Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock, if you are available. I am available, Mrs. Ashford asks that you bring any documents related to the wedding planning. She mentioned vendor contracts, receipts, whatever you have. I will bring the binder. Thank you, Ms. Morgan. We look forward to seeing you Friday. I hung up. I packed the binder. I made copies of everything in it. I made a separate manila folder of the printed group chat screenshots. I put it all together with my Mont Blanc clipped to the cover. I had 3 days to get my thoughts in order. I knew exactly what I was bringing. Friday afternoon, 2:57. The Ashford home was in an old Sacramento neighborhood I had only driven through. The street was lined with valley oaks. The houses were set back behind low picket fences. Beatrice's house was a craftsman with a green door and a porch swing. There was no gate, there was no doorman. There was Beatrice in a beige cardigan, holding the screen door open. Wendy, come in. The tea is hot. The interior was tasteful in a way that is hard to describe if you have not seen it. Old rugs, not new. A bookcase that went floor to ceiling. A piano that was clearly used, no gilt. No statement art. A black and white photograph of a man in mechanic's overalls hung above the fireplace. She poured the tea herself. Earl Grey, real porcelain cups. No cookies on a tray, just the tea. Wendy, what is happening? I placed 3 sheets of paper on the small table between us. The first sheet was the master list of canceled vendors with dollar amounts. The second sheet was the original Cresthaven contract, with my signature and Westbrook Events as the contractee. The third sheet was the bank statement showing $26,000 and change paid out over 8 months. From my business account to my mother's wedding vision. Beatrice put on a pair of reading glasses I had not noticed. She read each sheet slowly. She did not skim, she read. After about 3 minutes, she looked up. Your mother told my husband at the engagement dinner that your business was, and I am quoting, a side hobby Wendy does on weekends. I employ 4 people. We did 6-figure events last year. 2 corporate retreats and 11 weddings. Cresthaven gave us a vendor account discount because I have done 6 events at their facility. Beatrice tapped the bank statement. And the $26,000, my money, my business card, Vivian asked me. I offered. I thought it was a gift. Beatrice was silent for a long moment. Why would she tell us your business was a side hobby? Because she's worried you will find out my business is more solid than my dad's investment portfolio. Beatrice did not react dramatically. She just nodded once. Then she said, Vivian's wedding is in 8 days. What would you like to happen, Wendy? I had thought about this question for 3 days. I would like the wedding to happen, Mrs. Ashford. Beatrice. Beatrice. I would like Vivian and Trent to have their day. It's not their fault. I'm not the one who canceled the wedding. My mother did when she told me I make her look low class. I would just like the Ashfords to know who actually paid for the parts that did exist. Beatrice took her glasses off. And do you want to be there? If you invite me, yes. Not if my parents invite me. They told me I am not welcome. She did not pause. Consider yourself invited. By me. Personally, she stood up. She walked to a small writing desk against the wall. She opened a drawer. She pulled out a fresh place card. She picked up a slim silver pen. The pen she used had the same weight in her hand as my Mont Blanc has in mine. I noticed it before I understood I had noticed it. She wrote my name in calligraphy. Wendy Morgan. Then under it, Ashford Table. She handed the card to me. Wendy, I have one more question and then we can stop. Did your mother tell you specifically that you make her look low class? She typed it. So did my father. I have the screenshots. May I see them? I opened the manila folder. I handed her the printed group chat screenshots, all of them. She read for 9 minutes. She did not speak. When she finished, she folded the screenshots and put them on the writing desk. Wendy, I will see you next Saturday. She walked me to the door. She did not say goodbye. She squeezed my hand once. The grip was steady and warm. I drove home with the place card on the passenger seat. My mother and father spent the next 4 days trying to find a replacement venue. Lila kept me informed. They called Cresthaven and tried to uncancel. Eric was polite. He told them the date had been released to a corporate retreat. He told them this in the voice of a person who had been briefed. They called the Sterling Hotel, booked through the season. They called the Hyatt downtown, booked. They called the Vineyard at Folsom, booked. The summer wedding season in Sacramento books 8 months out. There were no luxury venues available on 11 days' notice. By Thursday morning, they had settled on the Holiday Inn near the airport. Conference ballroom, fluorescent lighting, drop-sailing tiles, a buffet contract at because the Holiday Inn did not do plated dinners. My mother sent an email to the extended family explaining the venue change. The reason she gave was, and I am quoting, due to Aunt Marjorie's hearing aid technician being closer to the airport. Lila sent me a screenshot of the email with a single laughing crying emoji. The new caterer was a panic booking. The original Maison Beaumont had been doing filet mignon. The Holiday Inn package was a buffet of teriyaki chicken, mashed potatoes, and a vegetarian pasta. My mother and father paid $14,000 for that buffet because the Holiday Inn knew they were 11 days out. The new florist was a wholesale grocery store order. White roses and baby's breath in plastic vases. About $300 total. The wedding cake was from the Costco bakery. My mother told everyone it was a stylistic choice. A return to simplicity, she said. My father told the country club that there was a venue construction issue at Cresthaven. Nobody at the country club believed him. I did not contact anyone in my family for the rest of the week. I bought a navy dress I already owned out of my closet, and I hung it where I could see it. Vivian came to my office Friday afternoon, 3 days before the wedding. She wore no makeup. Her hair was in a loose bun. She had not slept much. Wendy, Mom said you went behind her back to Beatrice. I closed the binder. Beatrice invited me to tea at her home. Vivian sat down across from my desk. She did not take off her coat. Mom is saying you're trying to ruin the wedding, Vivian. I'm coming to the wedding. She looked up sharply. You're coming? Beatrice invited me, personally. She wrote out a place card. I'm sitting at the Ashford table. Vivian's face moved through 3 emotions in a row. Surprise, then relief. Then a complicated kind of fear. Mom is going to lose it. Mom has been losing it since the engagement party, Vivian. You just didn't see it. I didn't see it either until this week. What do you mean? I considered telling her about the group chat. I decided not to, not yet, not before the wedding. I mean that Mom has been calibrating for the Ashfords for 2 years, and I was the part of the picture she couldn't figure out how to crop. Vivian's eyes filled. She did not cry. She just held them open until they cleared. She pointed at the Mont Blanc on my desk. Can I have it back? I looked at her. I looked at the pen. It was a gift, Vivian. From you to me for my 30th. It's mine, she nodded. She did not push. She did not argue. She just looked at the pen for a long second, the way you might look at something you almost broke, and then realized you did not get to break. Wendy, I love you. I love you, too. She left. I uncapped the Mont Blanc. I signed 3 contracts that afternoon. The day before the wedding, I did very little. I went to the office in the morning. I signed paperwork for a new corporate retreat client. I had coffee for Hannah. I told her she did not need to come in on Saturday. She would be at her sister's barbecue. Good. I went home at 3. I washed the navy dress. I steamed it. I laid it across my bed. I tried on a small pair of earrings, not pearl, plain silver studs. I sat on the edge of my bed and looked at the dress for a long time. Hannah texted at 6. You okay tomorrow? Best I've been in a year, I typed back. She sent a heart. Iris messaged at 7. She had stopped by my apartment that afternoon and dropped off a sealed envelope at my door. Inside the envelope were 2 clean printed copies of the group chat screenshots. with a sticky note. The sticky note said, "In case you need them, I'm rooting for you." I slid the envelope into my clutch. I made dinner. I ate alone. I watched the light leave the kitchen. At 9, I thought to myself very clearly in the dark of my own apartment, the only person who heard it being me. Low class doesn't pay deposits. I do. I slept 8 hours. The Holiday Inn near the airport, Saturday, 4:07 in the afternoon. I parked my car in a regular hotel guest spot. I walked up the sloped concrete entrance. There were 2 columns of beige stone on either side of the lobby doors. They were trying very hard to look like a venue and not a roadside hotel. The lobby had the smell of fluorescent carpet cleaner. A sign on an easel said, "Morgan Ashford Wedding, Ballroom B." The font was the Holiday Inn corporate font. There was a directional arrow. I followed the arrow. The hallway carpet was diamond patterned. The drop ceiling tiles had brown water stains in 2 places. Someone had set up a little floral arrangement at the entrance to Ballroom B, white roses. Baby's breath. Grocery store quality. My mother was standing at the door. She wore the same dress she had worn to the engagement party, the pearl pin, heels. She was greeting cousins. She had her social face on. She saw me coming down the hallway. She froze mid-handshake with my cousin Brett. Her hand went rigid in his. Brett looked confused. My father, who was 3 feet behind her, turned around when he saw her freeze. He turned a shade of gray I had never seen on a living human. Aunt Marjorie, who was standing near the gift table, said audibly across the hallway, "What is she doing here?" I kept walking. I did not look at any of them. A small voice at my elbow said, "Wendy, it was Beatrice." She had walked out of the ballroom to meet me. She was in a soft gray dress. She tucked her arm through mine in a way that was unmistakable. "Cordelia, Wendy is sitting with us at the Ashford table. I hope that is not a problem." My mother opened her mouth. She closed it. She opened it again. "Of course," she said. The 2 syllables were brittle. Beatrice did not wait for further response. She walked me past my mother into the ballroom. She squeezed my arm as we crossed the threshold. The ceremony was at 4:30. The ballroom had been split with a temporary partition. Chairs on one side for the ceremony. Buffet stations on the other side covered with cloths. The chairs were standard hotel issue. They had been wrapped in white covers with cheap sashes. The sashes were tied unevenly. Vivian came down the makeshift aisle in her dress. The dress, at least, was beautiful. She had paid for that herself. Trent waited at the front. He looked steady. He looked at her the right way. Whatever else was happening in this family, he was the right person for her. I sat at the Ashford table near the front. Beatrice on my right, Gerald Ashford, Trent's father, on my left. Gerald is 64, quiet, the kind of man who watches more than he talks. The officiant did the standard ceremony. Vivian read her vows, Trent read his. They exchanged rings. It took 30 minutes. My mother kept turning her head to look at me. My father's jaw was locked the entire time. When the officiant said, "You may kiss the bride," I clapped, because it was Vivian, and she was getting married, and she had been my baby sister. Vivian's eyes met mine across the room. She did not look away. She smiled at me. A small one, but it was real. The partition was wheeled back. The room was reconfigured for the cocktail hour. The buffet stations were uncovered. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. The ceremony was fine. The reception was where everything broke. 6:08 in the evening. Cocktail hour. The bar was a portable hotel bar. The bartender wore a Holiday Inn polo. The signature cocktail my mother had originally planned, a lavender French 75, had been replaced by a generic Chardonnay and a tray of Coors Light bottles. I stood near the bar with a glass of water. My mother came across the ballroom toward me. Her heels clicked aggressively on the temporary dance floor. She did not stop until she was 8 inches from my face. "How dare you?" she hissed. I did not step back. I did not lower my voice. I did not raise it either. "Mom, you're at a wedding. Be quiet." "You ruined this," she said, louder now. People 3 tables over were starting to look. "Mom, I asked you to be quiet. Once." "Look at this place," she hissed. "Look at what you did. Look at what your jealousy has cost this family." A voice behind her said, very calmly, "Cordelia." Beatrice had crossed the room. Gerald was with her. Trent was a step behind. Vivian was at Trent's elbow. Cordelia, would you mind joining me for a moment? There is something I would like to clarify in front of the family. My mother turned. She tried to smile. The smile did not land. Beatrice, we don't need to make a scene. I agree, Beatrice said pleasantly, which is why I would like to clarify this at the family circle. The toasts are scheduled in 10 minutes anyway. We can take care of it now. She did not wait for my mother to agree. She gently turned and walked toward the center of the ballroom. Gerald followed. Trent followed. My mother had no choice. She followed too. I followed last. The center of the ballroom had been cleared for the toast. A small podium had been set up. A microphone was on a stand. Beatrice ignored both. She walked into the center of the cleared space. She turned. She faced the family circle. 22 family members had wandered closer when they saw the movement. Some were holding drinks. Some had set them down. Aunt Marjorie was at the edge. Her face had gone strange. Gerald Ashford tapped his glass once with a butter knife. Just once. The room went quiet. Family, Beatrice said. Her voice was not loud. It carried because the room was waiting for it. My husband and I have been spending time getting to know your family these past months. I want to clarify something that has been confusing us. My mother's smile was at full tension. The pearl pin glinted under fluorescent light. We were told, Beatrice continued, that Vivian's older sister Wendy is, and I am quoting Cordelia, a side hobby event coordinator who didn't contribute much to the wedding planning. Well, my mother began. You see, I am going to clarify, Beatrice said, not unkindly. She produced a manila envelope from a small handbag I had not noticed her carrying. These are the original vendor invoices for the wedding that was planned at Cresthaven Manor. The wedding that was canceled 12 days ago. She did not open the envelope yet. She held it in two hands. She let the family circle look at it. Cordelia, before I open this, would you like to clarify anything you said to my husband at the engagement dinner about Wendy's role in the planning? My mother's throat moved. It was a small side thing she helped with. A small side thing. Yes. Beatrice looked at her for a long beat. All right, she said. She opened the envelope. I had not yet said a word. I did not need to. Beatrice opened the envelope. She read from the first page. These are vendor invoices for the original Cresthaven wedding. Florist, Catalina Blooms. $7,800. Catering, Maison Beaumont. $9,400. Venue, Cresthaven Manor. $18,000. Photography, 2 photographers. $4,200. Music, $2,800. Lighting, linens, transportation, the Wisteria Arch installation crew. She turned the page. Total contracted value $46,200. Prepaid deposits totaling $26,000 and change. She turned another page. The card on file at every single vendor. Westbrook Events Limited. Account holder. Wendy Morgan, president. She let the family circle absorb that for one full second. Wendy Morgan paid for your daughter's wedding, Beatrice said. Out of her own business account. Over 8 months. $26,000 of her own money. My father had gone the color of paste. Aunt Marjorie was clutching her purse with both hands. Beatrice turned another page. This is a family group chat dated July of this year. Quote, Beatrice can't see Wendy. She'll seize I came from rough stock. End quote. My mother made a small sound. Not a word, a sound. There are 47 similar messages, Beatrice said, going back 2 years, from Cordelia, Richard, and Marjorie. Planning, quote, to phase Wendy out gradually after the wedding. Silence. Beatrice folded the page. Cordelia, she said, I want to be clear. I came from a Sacramento foreclosure in 1978. My father was a mechanic. I built this family's real estate company with my husband from a single duplex. I have no patience for class theater. I never have. And I cannot abide it being performed for my benefit at the expense of someone's daughter. She turned to the rest of the family circle. Wendy Morgan paid for your daughter's wedding, she repeated. And you told her she makes you look low class. The phrase landed. The phrase landed like nothing I have ever heard land in a room. Aunt Marjorie sat down on a banquet chair as though her knees had given out. My father did not move, did not speak, did not breathe. I still had not said a word. My mother tried. She tried, the way drowning people try. Wendy offered, she said. The words came out at high pitch. She offered $26,000 because she's a generous person, Beatrice said. You told her she's an embarrassment. Those are different transactions, dear. Beatrice. You don't understand. There was history. I understand history fine. I understand it from a chat thread you wrote in. I read all of it last night. I had it printed twice. My mother turned to my father. She turned the way a person turns to a husband for cover. For backup. My father was a stockbroker. He calculated for 30 years for a living. He calculated for 2 seconds. He said nothing. He did not look at her. He did not look at me. He looked at the floor. That was when something in my mother broke. Not the lying. Not the exposure. The not being defended. She turned back to Beatrice. Her voice was small. It wasn't supposed to be public. None of it was supposed to be public, Cordelia. That's how it works. People say one thing in a chat thread and another at a country club, and they think no one will hold both pages in their hand at the same time. I am holding both pages. Vivian stepped forward. Mom, she said, her voice was breaking. Vivian, you don't understand. Mom, you told me Wendy didn't want to come. You told me she was sick. You told me last week she was choosing to step back. Vivian, Mom, I understand fine. Vivian crossed the open floor. She walked all the way to me. She stood beside me. She did not take my hand. She just stood beside me. It was enough. I spoke once at my sister's wedding. It was not a toast. It was 3 sentences. I looked at my mother. Her makeup was sliding in a way that was new to me. Her pearl pin was crooked at the collar. I said, Mom, you told me I make this family look low class. My voice was very level. I realize now, the calmest my voice has ever been in a public space. You spent 2 years strategizing how to make me feel like I chose to leave. I didn't choose. I just stopped paying for people who wouldn't say my name. I did not raise my voice. I did not pause for effect. I did not perform. I turned to Vivian. Vivian, be happy. Trent is a good person. I leaned in and kissed my sister on the side of her head. The way I used to when she was 11. The way I had not done in 7 years. Then I walked toward the door. Beatrice's hand brushed mine as I passed her at the edge of the family circle. Drive safely, Wendy, she said softly. I walked across the diamond-patterned hallway carpet. I walked past the cousins frozen at the gift table. I walked past my father, who finally looked up at me as I went by, and whose face had no expression on it, and I did not stop. I walked out the lobby doors. I walked across the sloped concrete entrance. I walked to my car. I got in. I sat there for 40 seconds. I started the engine. I drove home in evening light. Sacramento at 6:45 in September. Pink sky over the Valley Oaks. I did not cry until I got into my own driveway. Then I cried for about 10 minutes. Then I made tea. I was home by 8. My phone had been on silent in my clutch. I took it out, 23 texts, 8 missed calls. I scrolled through. Hannah at 6:52. Iris texted me. Are you okay? Iris at 7:06. Beatrice was a queen. I love her. Are you okay? Lila at 7:10 says, and I am crying. You were perfect. Aunt Marjorie left 10 minutes after you did. They are saying nothing. 2 of the original Cresthaven vendors had heard through the industry grapevine. Eric at Cresthaven sent, whatever happened tonight, your account is in good standing. Always. I did not open my mother's voicemails. I did not respond to my father's 2 texts. I made tea. I sat on my couch. I watched the steam. On Tuesday, 3 days later, a small cream-colored envelope arrived in my mailbox. Beatrice's handwriting, a short note. Wendy, thank you for what you did, and for what you did not do. I would like to have you to tea quarterly going forward, Beatrice. It was signed in the same silver pen ink as my place card. I put the note on my refrigerator. On Sunday afternoon, Vivian had texted, I am so sorry. I see it now. I had replied, I love you. I need a while. She had replied, take as long as you need. I had set down the phone and I had not opened my social media for 2 days. That was enough. 6 months later. Westbrook Events had booked 3 weddings through the Ashford Connection Network. Beatrice never said she was sending people my way. She did not need to say it. People talk. I reinvested the recovered 18,000 into a second coordinator hire. Her name is Psia. She is 24 and she is sharper than I was at her age. The 4,200 I lost to the Catalina Blooms deposit came back to me through a new corporate retreat client within 2 months. My mother had called once in October. I did not pick up. She left no message. My father had sent a holiday card in December. I mailed it back unopened. Aunt Marjorie was quietly dropped from the country club Christmas list. I heard about it from Lila over coffee. Vivian and I had been meeting for coffee once a month since November. Slow, neutral. Trent came twice. He is a good person. He apologized for what he did not see. I told him I did not blame him. Beatrice and I had tea quarterly, as promised. We talked about business, mostly. Occasionally, we talked about Vivian. We did not talk about my mother. I still used the Mont Blanc. I had signed 47 new contracts with it since the wedding. The pen lived on my desk next to the leather binder of every event I have ever planned. Status doesn't pay deposits. I do. But not for people who won't say my name. If you have been with me until now, here is what I learned. The people who tell you you make them look low class are usually telling you what they are most afraid you will find out about them. My mother had spent 30 years climbing a social ladder that Beatrice Ashford had never even seen. My mother had built her sense of self on rungs other people had nailed to the wall. When I started to look capable, when I started to look like I might be more solid than her own structure, I became the threat. I had to be moved out of the picture, gently, before anyone Beatrice's height noticed me. She did not move me out of the picture. I moved myself. That is the difference. That is my story. If you have ever held the receipts your family forgot you had, keep them. Quietly. Some people need to be paid in mirrors. Drop a comment with the word receipts. Hit subscribe. And I will see you in the next one.